Hi, it's Marie with Marie's Cards and More. So here is another installment in a beginning card making. And I've been using the Fern and Flora. I've been using all of the products that came with that suite. I have already done several cards, so now I'm going to the next card. And this card, I'm going to show you the embossing folder. So for this card, I used a white card base. Then I used some of the designer series paper. Then I embossed using the embossing folder, Fern and Flora 3D embossing folder. Looks like this. Oops. Got a little scrap piece of paper in there with it. So this is the embossing folder. Then what I did was I did some ink blending, and then I did a technique called ink dragging. I just couldn't quite get the colors I wanted, so we'll see what we can come up with. And then I stamped in You're an Amazing Friend, and then I just fussy cut around it. There is a die, but I just decided I'd fussy cut. And then I did a little butterfly. On the inside, I made a multi-panel, so I put some Secret C at the base, and then a white, and then I put You Make the World a Better Place. So we're going to make this card now. So what are all the products? Well, as I stated, Fern and Flora 3D embossing folder. So that's one of the things that we're going to use. We're going to use the dies, Fern and Flora, and the die, the only thing that I'm using that die for is the little butterfly. Oh, there it is, the little butterfly. And he's right here. Oops, let's get that off of there. And then the stamp set, Fern and Flora, photopolymer stamp set. And for that, I'm stamping out the butterfly. And then I'm using the You're Amazing Friend, and You Make the World a Better Place. Okay, so let's get started. Let's move him out of the way so it didn't get ink on him. And we're gonna just see what kind of papers we need. Well, we need a scrap, and that's going to be for the sentiment and for the butterfly, so just white cardstock. And then let's pull them all out here. So we're going to have the card base, 5.5 by 4 1/4, just a standard A2 card base. On the inside, I'm going to have a layer of Secret C at 5 1/4 by 4. So it's going to go just like that. And then I'm also going to do another layer, 5 by 3 3/4. So as you can tell, I'm just going down 1/4 of an inch each time. So those are going to be the inside. For the outer layer, here is my designer series paper. And that is cut at 5 1/4 by 4. And then I have my embossed layer that I'm going to emboss. Again, just standard white cardstock. It's going to be 4.5 by 3. And then I'm going to make a white layer that goes behind it that's 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. So those are all the little pieces that I need. So right now, we're going to look at our ink, and then we're going to emboss. Now, as I stated, I couldn't quite come up with the colors that I wanted. So this is, it's multi-layers. It's a Marie project, let's put it that way. So I embossed it, and then I came and I said, you know what, I'm going to just do a little ink blending, kind of like on one of my other videos. I did a little ink blending, different colors, didn't like it. I came back and I did ink swiping, didn't like that. And then I finally settled on my last layer of Secret C. So we'll see if we can recreate it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is emboss. Now, what do you need to do, or what tools do you need to emboss? Well, obviously you need an embossing folder. Now, there are different kinds of embossing folders out there. There's just the regular embossing folder, and then there are 3D embossing folders. And then there's even yet another one that's cut and embossed, but we're not going to talk about those today. It's out there, and we'll show you that on a different video. So this is the embossing folder that I'm going to use. Well, what else do you need? Well, you're going to need a cut and emboss machine, right? So for Stampin' Up, oh, excuse me while I reach behind me, here is cut and emboss machine. And it's the big baby, and I know it's like right in your face. Let me get the plate out of the way. So that's a cut and emboss machine. Well, hang on. Okay. The machine will have different plates, and that you use a different sandwich for depending on what you're doing. And I know, let's see how close up I can get this. Sorry, guys. So right here on the base plate, this big fat one, using 3D embossing folders, you're going to want plate number 1. See, here he is. And you're going to want plate number 4. And that's real easy to identify because it's this gray one. And it has a number 4 on it. Oops, there you go. So those are the only 2 plates that you're going to need when you emboss. Now, if you're cutting something out, it's a different sandwich, but we're not going to go there. So then what you have to decide is how you want to put your paper or your cardstock in your embossing folder. Now, I want this, you could, here, let's move this out for just a second. Okay, that was my workout. So the embossing folder has 2 sides. They have the side that has the emblem on it, and then a mark, and then they have, deboss and emboss. So what's pushing up and what's sinking down. Okay. So what I always do is I put my cardstock in, and I just try to decide what part of the embossing folder I want. So do I want to put it this way, landscape? Whoops. Whoops. Hang on. I like to do it this way so I can just lay it flat. Okay. So to make sure that it's straight, I just come across where that line is. Now, do I like that? And is that what I want on this card? Maybe, maybe not. So on this card, I'm doing a landscape, which means it goes across, right? It's not up and down. It's more horizontal. I want to look and see. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. I want that curly Q one, and you'll be able to see it here in a second. I kind of want that curly Q, and I like that curly Q. But see, I'm kind of crooked. So now I'm going to come back, and I'm just going to try to straighten it up. Now, depending on the embossing folder, the embossed image may or may not need to be straight. I think that's good enough. Okay. I have my folded edge, and then I have my open edge. You always want to put your embossing folder through the embossing machine, fold first. So let's get this guy back. Thank goodness it's not too terribly heavy. All right, now that it's in your face again, I'm going to put my embossing folder. Remember, I said fold first. I'm just going to put it right down on plate number 1. And I'm going to bring in my plate number 4 and just make my little sandwich. And then I'm going to turn the knob and put my hand right up in your nose. And then it's going to make a little pop. Maybe it's a loud pop. Okay. That is how easy and quick it is to make an embossed image. So I think I'm going to make it this. I could do this way, or I could do this way. I think I'll do this way. Okay, so let's get all this out of the way. All right, so here's my embossed panel. Now, you could just leave it white if that's the way you like it. I'm gonna ink blend. So I'm gonna get my little scratch paper back that I had here. As you can see, I've used it quite a bit. And now I'm going to do a little ink blending. And I'm going to try to recreate what I've already done. So I started with soft seafoam. Pop that little guy open. And then I'm going to get this small blending brush. And I'm just going to double check it. I'm not sure what color I had on it last. I'm using it for all my greens. Now, I wouldn't go, without really cleaning it off, I wouldn't go dark first, then medium, and then light, because you could contaminate your light ink pad. So I'm going to start with the light. And then I just decide, what is it that I want to be light? Well, I'm just going to quickly brush, and as you can see, I'm not putting a lot of pressure, but I'm just kind of coming in here and picking and then taking some of it off, and I'm just very lightly coming in here and going, I kind of like that. Now it's going off the image, that's fine. And if I want a little darker, just like on my other video that I've showed you, how you can add color or take it away. Okay, I think that's maybe enough. We may come back to it. You never know with me. So now I think I'm going to do some Old Olive. And I think the Old Olive, I'm loading it up and I'm tapping it off. And I think Old Olive, I'll come into these. See how much darker that is? I've put more ink on my brush, but I'm still just lightly blending. I'm really not even pushing. I'm just letting the brush, the weight of the brush, come down as I'm just twirling it around. Twirl, 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 just like that. Now, what do I want? I think I'm going to make these little guys a little bit lighter, but not too much. I just didn't add any more ink. Did you notice that? You may be looking at this going, ooh, that's just not pretty. Well, you just hold on. We're not done. Now, the moral to this story is, when you're sitting there and you're making things up, loading it up, tapping it off, coming back in. And I didn't like it. And I went, I really don't like what I made. I do that quite frequently, by the way. But anyways, I didn't like it. So I said, well, what now? What can I do? Never just throw it away. Okay, keep working on it. Sometimes the reason why you don't like it is because you haven't put enough ink on it. You haven't made, I guess, enough contrast. See how I'm just coming back? Even on top of that other color, I'm coming back and I'm just adding a little more color because I'm like, I just don't think it looked good. And I'm just coming back. Now again, I'm not taking light and then dumping my brush right. I'm doing dark and dumping my brush into the light because you could contaminate it. I'm just using the ink that's on my brush. Now this is the darker one. This one is the Mossy Meadow. And I've just decided that I think it needs to be darker. Okay. Now you may look right here and go, you know what? I like that. You may not like any of this white. So if you don't like the white, cover it up. Just very lightly. Okay. So that's what I have so far. Well, now I'm going to cover this up and I'm going to show you something. Sorry for the thunks. Okay. See, at first I started doing it and I went, ew. I didn't like it at all. I'm like, what have I done? Well, stay tuned. I came back with the darkest one, the Mossy Meadow. Popped it open, and now I'm going to do ink swiping. Now, you're going to get your fingers dirty, okay? So if you don't like your fingers dirty, well, wear gloves. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the ink pad and I'm just going to swipe it over. I'm not pushing, very gently, laying my ink pad down and dragging it across. And then I'm turning. Laying it down, dragging it across. And now, you see how I've got this line? Well, I don't like the line. So then I just come back and I just keep moving it, dragging it, moving it, dragging it. I don't think you could ever do two the exact same. It all just depends on how much ink you have and where you're dragging it. Okay? So then I went, and I'll show you. Oh, look, I actually kept pretty clean fingers. It's a miracle. Okay, so then I went, yeah, not there yet. So I came in with my Secret C. Popped it open. And I said, oops, Secret C, behave. Okay, so then I took my Secret C, and you got it. I'm gonna drag down, drag, turn, drag, turn, drag, turn, drag, 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 drag. Now I have something like this. Well, I don't like this, it's too light. So I'm gonna come back and I'm just gonna quickly just drag. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm just swipe, 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 swipe. Okay. Now, yes, I have dirty fingers. So before I touch anything else, come on over here to a baby wipe. And I'll wipe it off my fingers. Because if you give me any dark ink, dark blue and red and dark green are my worst. And then I'm just wiping it off on a microfiber cloth. Okay, I'm going to close this so I don't have some kind of ink catastrophe. Look at that. Who else is like me? Who is an inky mess? Okay, now let's just take a peek. What do you think? Much better. Okay. So I kind of like that. I do still see a couple of little areas that are kind of, I don't know, that light. Does that bother you? I'm going to come back with my green and just very quickly. That, I'm putting a little more pressure. Okay. Okay. I like that. What do y'all think? You like that? Okay. Well, then I looked at it and I went, I like that, but I think it needs something. Let me fold this inky mess and get it out of the way. Let me wipe my fingers off again. So what do y'all think so far? I'm using the pattern paper, I'm using cardstock, I'm using an embossing folder, and I'm using the inks. All right. So then I went, I still don't think I like it. So I decided, well, maybe the reason why I don't like it is I don't like this right on top of my designer series paper. Maybe it needs a buffer or a layer to kind of pop it up. Okay, I'm going to get the card. Keep wiping my fingers because I really don't want ink smudges. But see, I've come back and I've just added dimension to pop it up. And I think it gives your eyes a place to look, but then it's a break and then you can kind of look again. So that's what I decided I liked. So I'm going to add this, and remember, it's wet. I mean, we got quite a bit of ink on it. I'm rubbing it on the back. I'm going to glue the two together. Now, when you've used an embossing folder, you see it's got all of the sunken in places. Well, you want to make sure that your adhesive, which I always use the liquid glue on an embossed layer, because that way I can smush that ink down in those recess areas. Might need to get me some more glue. Okay, hopefully that's enough. Let's put a little more. It just doesn't want to come out. I love my little bottles, but they like to get clogged up. Here, let's try this one. Woo! There we go. All right, I'm happier now. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and I'm going to just place it down and try to get as even a border as I can. Now remember, you may want to wait until that panel dries so that you're not bringing any of the ink over into your white borders. Okay, let's see, what do I think? Good enough. And if you use liquid glue, you can kind of slide it a little bit. All right, I'm going to push it down. Okay, I think that's good. Okay. Wiping my hands again. So I'm going to set that to the side. And so now I'm going to go back to my card base. And I'm going to glue or adhere that. I'm going to get a long folder here and just burnish that panel down. And then now when you're using liquid glue on your designer series paper, yeah, it'll come out. Is that the one that was clogged up? You don't want to put too much, okay? A little bit will do you, because the paper is, you know, thinner, and you don't want to either see the glue or see or feel bumps. So I usually just kind of go, oops, quickly around the edge. Make sure that my card base is opening correctly, especially if you have designer series paper that has a direction. That makes a difference. And then I usually pick it up in my hands. It's easiest way for me to get somewhat of an equal border. Hey, it's a handmade card. It might not be perfect. Okay, so there's that. So then we're going to add this. Well, how are we going to add that? We're going to put dimensionals. Now, what kind of dimensionals does Stampin' Up! Have? Well, they've got all sorts of kinds. They got small ones and they got bigger ones. Well, I'm going to use foam adhesive strips this time. And it comes in a package, and I think there's two. Here's one right here. Now that's kind of long, isn't it? Well, I'm going to cut it down. So I could, you know, come here and kind of look and go, yep. Usually most of the time that would be where I would want it. I'm just going to come in here with my scissors and go whack. I'm going to whack off some. So now I'm just going to try to peel it off. Whoops, like give me that, like this. And I'm just going to go around my edge. Now, oops. It's got a border. Oops, sorry. Y'all probably couldn't see that. It has a border around it. I don't want the border. Okay. 1, 2. Now, I don't like anything to be all shunk and, you know, you don't want any kind of sagging. And they're sticky on one side. Okay. Now, I need something here, don't I? Well, I can come back and just peel one of these little guys off, and I can come back with the scissors and just clip. So you can cut this to whatever size it is that you want. Now, I could have come by here first and put this, you know, these strips in first, and then I wouldn't have to cut. But I just want to show you that you could cut this, whoops, to whatever size you need. Okay, let go. And put him here, and this one there. And now I'm not going to peel this all the way off. I'm just going to come in like this and clip that. And put that one like right there. For now, that's all going to stand up really nicely. Okay. Again, make sure your work surface is clean so you don't get ink everywhere. And now you just peel off the backer. In another video, I'll kind of go through all the different adhesive products. But this is mainly to show you the embossing folder. Okay, so now I could just take this right away, and then I just decide, which way do I like it? I like it this way. Now, because I could never get anything on straight, I can come and add some glue. Okay, I could come in here and add little droplets of glue down, you know, down this, ouch, the adhesive strips, because that gives me just a little bit of wiggle room. If I get it and I go, ugh, I don't like that, I completely missed the mark, usually you could just pick it up. Now, sometimes even with the little dimensionals, they give you a little bit of grace, but not much, as long as you don't smash them down. So then I try to get my card what I think looks straight. For me, sometimes that's difficult. And then I have to decide, nope, that wasn't the way. So I'm gonna, whoops, sorry, I moved you around. I'm gonna stand up for a second and kind of look and see if I think that is, I know on the camera it looks like it's crooked. Okay, I'm gonna set him down like that. And then I pick it up and look at it, and yep, I'm off just a little bit. And you see it's gonna give me that skosh of a wiggle. Okay. That's the way it's gonna be. All right, so now I've adhered that down. So now what am I gonna do? Well, I need a sentiment, right? Get all this stuff out of the way. I need a sentiment, and I need my butterfly, don't I? So here's that. Let me take a little sip. I went ahead and I put my sentiment on a block. So you're an amazing friend. But then I also have, on my example, I have this little border. So I'm going to do that. So first I'm going to do the little border. Now when you have photopolymer stamps, see how they're all wiggly? What you should do is place it down. Excuse me. Place it down and then pick it up. Sorry. Don't try to just lay it on because you could wiggle it and then it's sticky and it'll be crooked or it'll be wompy jawed or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to open up my Secret C and I'm going to 1, 2, 3, 4, look at it. Add a little bit more and I'm going to come right here and I'm just going to stamp. Give it a couple seconds to transfer that ink, right? Then I'm going to come in with You're an Amazing Friend. It's already on a block. Don't push too hard, like that. Oh my goodness. All right, hang on, let me clean up my mess. Who else does that? Nobody? Come on. Surely somebody else is a messy person like I am. Hang on. I don't want it to be wet because that will smear. All right, let's try this again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ha. Much better. Okay. And then I know I have this lovely camera and a light in my way. Hopefully I could get in here and get it somewhat. Okay. You're an amazing friend. I'm not pushing too hard. I'm just kind of making sure that the whole stamp got contact with the pepper. Okay. And then I'm going to close this just a minute because, you know, I've already told you I like to make a mess. I'm going to give that a couple seconds. Come here. I have my little chamois that I just drag it over and wipe it off. And then I'm going, just loading this up. I'm just putting the stamp on the block. Okay. All right, because that will be in a minute or two. Okay, so now you could die cut that out, or what I'm just going to do is I'm going to fussy cut it. I know, it's amazing if I ever fussy cut. It is not my favorite thing to do, I will be honest. I don't want a white border around it, and that's why I'm doing this. So I'm just going to come and follow the line the best that I can right up against that blue line. If I take some of the blue line off, I'm not going to worry about it because I can always kind of tamp it down in the blue. But I just want a little bit. Now I'm going to get rid of the rest of this because it's in my way. So I'm just kind of coming around like this and this. When there are straight lines, pretty easy to fussy cut something. Now, a lot of people like to fussy cut. I don't. I'd rather use a die. But sometimes I don't want that white border that the die leaves. So you could fussy cut right up to that line. And then you don't have that irritating little white border. Now, sometimes it doesn't bother me. But on this card, I didn't want the white border. So I have painfully, no, I have gone around. Now see how I got a little bit too close here? Let me show you. So I can come in, if you happen to have your Stampin' Right markers, you can come back and just quickly go like that. But they don't sell those anymore. That was a sad day. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to dip. Ta-da! My line is back. Give it a minute to set. I don't know why I put that up. Like I'm not going to use it again. Oof. I'm going to set that to the side. So then I'm going to get this little guy back. And I'm going to do my butterfly. Now I'm going to do my butterfly in Secret Sea. Like that. I know, I close my ink because I am the world's worst at putting something right in it or hitting my elbow. Okay. So guess what we get to do? We're going to die cut. I'll lop that off. So now I'm going to get my baby cut and emboss machine. Now for that one you need the 3. So you're going to need number 1 and you're going to need a number 2. And yes, I still haven't changed the plates. I know. I will. I promise. One of these days I'll surprise you. So I'm going to get my die and I'm going to put it on here. Can you see what I'm doing? No, of course you cannot. Okay, and then I'm just going to line my die up, right? And I have a little piece of Post-it tape. Just like that. Add the second plate, number 2. And move everything out of the way. It's going to make a little pop, not much. That was hardly a pop at all. Okay. And now look, pop that little guy out. So there he is. So he's going to kind of sit like that. Right away, take your dies off of the scratch paper or the whatever paper so that you don't accidentally throw him out with the other paper. Okay. Oh my goodness. I don't know where you are, but pollen level is extremely high here. Okay. So now I'm going to make the inside of my card. Okay. So I'm going to stamp my inside sentiment. Now to do that, I'm going to use the Stampin' Positioner. Now, I could just stamp it, but I want to show you the Stampin' Positioner again. Now I have this sticky paper in here that does not come from Stampin' Up, but I like it, but they have grid paper. Oh my goodness, I'm almost done with the video, thank heavens, right? Y'all are tired of listening to me cough. I am so sorry. Okay, so what you do is, well, it has 2 sides here. Let's do this side. Inches or metric, and then you just pop their little grid paper down like that, and they have these, yes, they have those magnets. Magnets are not my favorite thing. Okay, so I am going to line up my paper like this, and I'll tell you why. Because the magnets never seem to hold it down for me. Now, other people don't have any problems. If you get it, you may not have a problem one. I do. So by putting this right up here in that little corner, I know if this stamp picks up my paper, I know exactly where it was, okay? And I could put it right back. Now again, you may not have that problem. I did. Now I'm looking for, oops, what did I do with it? Here it is. Okay, so this one's gonna say, you make the world a better place. Now I've turned my card, right? I've turned it. It's gonna be landscape, but I kind of want it in the middle. And it would be nice if it was somewhat straight. Looks okay to me. Okay, so now I'm going to put the top on, right? And I've shown you this before. Press it down, pick the stamp up. And you see what happens. It happens to me every time. Now, maybe one day I will learn. Maybe my stamps are just too sticky because they're new that I'm working on. But again, I'm putting my card right back in that corner. I'm gonna come around here and I'm just gonna test and I'm gonna look. I'm not pushing it down, but I just wanna make sure. Yep, I like that one. Okay, so now I'm going to ink up my stamp. Now, why am I doing the positioner? Because if you don't get a good stamped clean, you know, you've missed something, you can come back, and as long as you didn't move anything, yes, you know, it's me and my inky mess, you can simply re-stamp it. Whew, that's why sometimes I like the smaller ink cubes, because when I do it, I make a mess, okay? Let's call it what it is. So I'm just pushing it down, giving it a minute to transfer the ink to the paper. So let's say one time I made a mistake and I didn't get the U. Well, it's already inked, so all I had to do was put this back and then stamp it again, and now I've saved it. If not, I mean, you may be really good and be able to line your stamp up right on top of what your previously stamped item. I am not. So that is the positioner. Here, let me just move this out of the way. All right. So now what do I have? I'm going to add this to this, and then I'm going to put it in the card. I don't remember. Oh, no. It's this one. Maybe. Yep, there we go. So again, what am I doing? I'm just adding a little glue. I could use tape. I'm going to come here. Once again, I pick it up in my hand, and then I can kind of manipulate it to where I think it's an even border. Hey, it's an even border to me. And then I'm going to put that one on the inside. Now, do you have to do this? Well, no, of course you don't. You could just stamp directly on the inside of the card, and I do that a lot of the times. But I just really wanted what I call stepping it up. I wanted to add a little more interest by adding some more layers. Can y'all see that? So I'm just going to kind of do that. Press it down. So now there's the inside of my card. Make sure that's dry. Every once in a while the ink wouldn't dry and I closed it, and then I had the reverse. And yes, that was annoying. Okay, so now I have this little guy. Well, I've already got a lot of dimension, right? Because I use this dimensional. Look at what I left open, guys. Woo, it was just calling for me to put my fingers in it. Okay, so now I'm just going to glue this directly down. I have a little product here called the reverse tweezer. Love them. It's not a Stampin' Up! Product. You can get them, you know, your favorite craft store, or, you know, that online store that everybody loves. Okay. And again, I'm putting a little more glue than usual because, why? Well, yep, because it has all those indentions. And then I'm going to put him like right here. Pick him up and go, yeah, good enough. And now for my little butterfly, what do I want to do first? I think he needs to have a little more color. So I'm going to come here now. I stamped it with water-based ink, and I'm using the blender pen. And I've talked about that before. And look, you just bring it right in, and it just drags that color lightly into your little image. And just wipe it off. Now I could have, you know, come in and put a different color, but I don't want to do that. And I'm going to put him like right there. So he only needs a little bit of glue on the bottom. Just like that. And I'm going to put him or her, I'm not sure what it is, like that. Okay, so there's my card. Now you could put some shimmer, you could, I guess you could put some gem. I just don't think it needs gems. I think I've done enough to this poor card. But there it is. I always try to cover this up because it is sharp. And I put him away. So what do y'all think? Do you like that? You think you're gonna do some embossing, add some ink? So this one, I didn't ink it as heavy. This one, I did more. So again, you can change it up, add color, don't add color. It's up to you. So again, this is using a Fern and Flora 3D embossing folder, the designer series paper, the stamp set, and ink smushing or dragging. Ink blending first, ink dragging last. So tell me in the comments if you enjoyed this, or if you're thinking that maybe you're going to get some embossing folders and try this technique. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I got you all crooked, sorry. And until next time, have a good evening. Bye.